You are listening to the Enormocast.
So if you listened to our recent episode with climber Sarah Huniken, you probably heard her say that when she started alpine climbing, basically no women-specific alpine gear existed. Just stuff for the dudes that a woman could maybe size down enough to sort of fit good enough. Luckily, as climbing has evolved, so has women's gear and apparel, and no company has pushed that forward quite like Arc'teryx. The Arc'teryx design team, with input from athletes like Sarah, Ashima Shiraishi, and Amity Warm, are not just dedicated to making great clothing, but want to influence how we see women in climbing: strong, capable, equal. The new summer editions from Arc'teryx continue that ethos. Women's shorts, pants, and tanks that fit, look great at the crag and beyond, and above all else, perform. But I'm a dude, right? What the hell do I know about women's clothing? Well, I know that Sarah, Amity, Ashima, and the rest of the women at Arc'teryx wouldn't settle for anything less than gear that inspires them forward and up. And neither should you. So check out the Arc'teryx women's climbing line at arc'teryx.com or your local shop. And of course, they make pretty good stuff for us fellas too.
There was once a time, eons ago, when a person bought a product once and used it for the rest of their lives. In fact, once they died, in accordance with local rites, their entrails and organs were removed, stored, and they were wrapped and entombed under 6 million tons of cut limestone with those indestructible possessions so they could be useful in the afterlife. Well, the folks at Yeti want you to think of their products the same way. You know, minus the pulling the organs through your nasal cavity and the death and all that. We live in a time with too much cheap throwaway crap, pardon my French, and stuff like the Yeti Tundra Cooler, the Yonder water bottle, and Yeti's plethora of stainless drinkware is built to combat that deplorable trend. Yeti products don't just last. By Horus, they work. In fact, if I wake up on the dark side of the sticks without my 26-ounce stainless steel Rambler hot cold water bottle with the leak-proof chug cap, old Osiris is going to hear about it. So do yourself and your future ghost a favor and check out all Yeti's bomber products at yeti.com or your local outdoor goods retailer. Because just in case you end up down under, you're going to want a cold drink in hell.
Listen, where are you playing in town? Are you playing here?
We're doing the Enormo Dome, whatever it is. It's terrific.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
big
house. We
place
sold
that
it
side
out.
of town. That's a
Very
big
nice.
place. You sold
What's
it
that,
out.
20,000 seats?
You
really should.
The hell are you doing?
I couldn't sleep. I'm checking the ropes. There was a frayed end on your rope, and I'm cutting it out.
Good weather, bad weather. Now or later, anytime.
Today's show is brought to you by La Sportiva
Arc'teryx equipment.
and with support from Maxim Ropes. Maxim has been keeping the Enormocast off the deck since 2012.
And now, we can also thank the chill folks at Yeti. And don't forget our charter sponsor, Bonfire Coffee. Go to bonfirecoffee.com and enter Enormo at checkout for a discount on great coffee and to support the Enormocast.
And now back to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Enormocast. This is your host, Chris Kalous. It is July 28th, 2025, nearly 11 o'clock p.m. here in Colorado. And this is episode 309 of the Enormocast, a conversation with climber Anna Hazlenutt, a.k.a. Anna Hazlett, better known as Hazelnutt. And this is a reconnection with Anna. We actually both thought it had been a lot longer since her last Enormocast. It was only back in 2022, but it feels like a long time ago. She's done a lot of stuff since then. But before we catch up on that, a little bit of business. Arc'teryx is having me up to the Squamish Arc'teryx Academy this year again, August 22nd to the 24th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They had me up there last year, even before the show was sponsored by Arc'teryx. We were sort of flirting, just getting to know each other last year, doing some speed dating up there at the Arc'teryx Academy. Anyway, I'm coming back, and this year I'm doing a couple programs. Friday morning at 10:30 in the park, I'll be doing a live podcast with Matilda Soderlund, who coincidentally plays a big part in this podcast, because we talk a bunch about Anna's trip to Madagascar with Matilda. So I'm looking forward to doing that. We're going to do that in front of an audience there in the Pavilion Park. And then on Saturday morning at 10:30, also in Pavilion Park, another live podcast with Vicki Weldon and Emily Pellerin, both local heroes there in Squamish. So that should be a lot of fun. So if you're going to make it to the Arc'teryx Academy, come down and check out those shows. Of course, we'll be recording and broadcasting them later as well. I know you probably want to go climbing, but as I've often said, climbing festivals are not about the climbing. Go climbing on Monday after it's all over and everybody goes home. Anyway, information at squamish.arcteryxacademy.com. Aside from these live podcasts, I'm going to be doing some MC work at the film events in the evening, getting some other interviews. So I'm pretty excited about this whole thing. It was very fertile last year. If you listened through this spring, I got a lot of great interviews up at the Arc'teryx Academy last year. So I'm looking forward to the same this year. Face-to-face is still the gold standard, if I can pull it off. Okay, let's get to Anna Hazlenutt. Again, I thought it had been a lot longer since I'd talked to Anna. Felt like a long time. I got back in touch with Anna because I wanted to talk about her evolution as a person, as a media person, as a climber. But by the time we got to doing the interview, she had just got home from Madagascar. And what we ended up talking about was climbing. This is a very climby interview with Anna, which I feel like was the right thing to do. Last time we talked a lot about her kind of position in the culture, her position in media, her position as something of a example for women, an example for the LGBTQ plus community. And we talked about her climbing, but this one is very, very climby. And after it was over, I was like, man, that was the right thing to do, is to talk to Anna about her as an athlete, as a sponsored climber, and as someone who is dedicated to her improvement and her craft as a person out there getting that fucking rad shit done. So let's get to it. A very climby Enormocast with climbing influencer turned pro climber and a bad mama jama through it all, Anna Hazlenutt.
Oh, hello. We have reached this remote mountain crag in the elusive hope of finding one of the most majestic and fearsome creatures known to climbers, the Sportiva squama. Now we wait, aspiring to hear its lonesome and august call. Ah, what good fortune. The cliff before us abounds with this daunting creature, often appearing on boulders and crags in pairs. The Sportiva squama is a fierce predator, known for its diverse hunting skills and sleek movement. Observe as they use tiny edges, dimples, smears, and even the occasional toe or heel hook to close in on their prey, set up, and leap for the kill. Oh my stars, what do we have here? Ah yes, a gentle and beautiful mating pair of vegan squamas. Though these gorgeous green-coated creatures are just as nimble as their lethal brethren, the vegan squama remains an herbivore, living peacefully among its fellow woodland creatures without harm. And you too can go to Sportiva.com, or your favorite local climbing shop, to observe, hold, and maybe even pet a Sportiva squama yourself. But please be wary, because once released on your local rocks, the Sportiva squama will run wild and free, just like you.
Yeah, fill us in on where you are in this moment. You just got back from Africa and are settling in, it looks like, in the great Northwest up there.
Yeah, I just got in a few days ago. I'm still a tad jet lagged and exhausted from my adventure in Madagascar, but generally just really happy to be here. I'm in Squamish and I'll be here all summer. It's kind of home base, I guess, this season. So I'm going to move into a place. I'm in my car right now, but I am going to move into a place which I'm really excited about for a few months. And that's like the longest I'll have lived anywhere in a place in years. So this is a really cool chapter. I feel like I got to do this big adventure and now it's chill time.
Yeah, it's an interesting evolution of the living on the road. And I talked to so many climbers that finally kind of are like, yeah, I have this house and I live in a bed and I have a bed and, I have this, like, my stuff is all like, I can just set it there and I don't have to move it every 5 minutes to get it out of my way. And like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Cannon's a classic example of, like, he moved into a place in Vegas and he was just like, this is really nice. So, now he's back in his van essentially, but these little brief respites, I think are super good. And you didn't bring any little, microscopic sort of, they didn't jump on the bus and come home with you from Africa, as far as you know?
I hope not. I stopped taking my malaria medicine, so it's very possible that I could get that because I think it shows in like a week, but I'm hoping not. It was kind of giving me weird dreams and like stomach issues, and I was like, you know what? I probably don't have malaria, so we'll see if that's a bad decision in about, well, it's almost been a week actually. So I think in like 2 or 3 days, I can be safe to say I did not get malaria. And other than that, I brought home some chocolate, and a lot of memories, good and bad. I feel like intense, amazing.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. Good and bad, or intense. I think intense is a way, because any type of trip like that's going to have ups and downs, and you didn't go there just to avoid, having unfortunate things happen, or at least having like inconvenient things happen, and that's why you go to those places. So yeah, characterizing, good, bad, unless something really horrible happened, which I don't think it did for you guys.
No.
Although Madagascar, climbing on that face has had its share of accidents and things like that. So, but yeah, tell us about the trip. Let's just jump in to the most recent activity. That's sort of the freshest thing in your mind, so it's a perfect place to start.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I went to Madagascar for a few weeks with Matilda Sutherland. She is a pro climber from Sweden. And we originally wanted to do Mora Mora, which is this 8C first established by Adamandra. And we were really psyched. We got there, and as all good adventures start, we realized the bolts were totally rusted over, and we didn't know how that was going to play with the granite and if it was, safe or not. But as you kind of mentioned, like being there and having an accident, it's like quite serious because you are far away from everything. Like it's about, I want to say 18 to 20 hour drive to the capital where the hospital is. So, like if anything happens, things just like get really serious really fast. And, sleeping on a portaledge on rusted bolts maybe wasn't at the top of our list. Just adds like another layer of insecurity. So we changed objectives and kind of went in blind on this climb called Air Madagascar, which ended up being really a lot more challenging and demanding than I anticipated at first, just given the breakdown of the climbs. It's 11 pitches, 8B, although I have more to say about that later. We had to kind of find some workarounds because it kind of felt a little bit unclimbable at parts, or at least for us in the time frame. And yeah, we just got to work at this new objective and spent about 2 weeks projecting it, and then a week or so, 4 or 5 days doing the push. So that was kind of a little summary of the adventure. And yeah, we just kind of realized there's only 2 weeks to project this climb, and it has 6 pitches that were 513, so A through D. And it just felt like this improbable amount of time to do it, for me at least, and for my level. I think because Matilda has climbed 9A and has done like, 8B plus flash, maybe even on site. I think it felt a bit more in her wheelhouse. So it was interesting to also have like this dynamic that was like, I felt like we were having different experiences on the wall as well, just like as far as difficulty level. And we just worked together and ended up doing a team ascent. I never sent pitch 3, but we took turns leading every other pitch until the end. At the end, at the top, there was like the last hard pitch. I was totally fried. So Matilda took an extra lead on that. So that's kind of the summary of the trip.
Well, it sounds like a good partnership.
Yeah.
Great, awesome to climb with some people who are stronger than you are at times, which I think is not, it seems like, I don't know, I guess climbing with Tom and climbing with some other people, but it seems like you're often out in the lead on some of these trips and expeditions and things. So tell me about the partnership. Did you know Matilda? Was it another one of these like cold calls that you seem to be part of your climbing life?
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like I have this like optimism for the climbing community and for the experiences that come with taking risks. Maybe this isn't part of my risk-taking behavior, but yeah, it was basically a cold call. I wanted to go to Madagascar. I've seen all the content, as I'm sure a lot of folks at home have, where you see Tough Enough, you see Mora Mora, you see these beautiful granite, like slabby technical climbs. And I thought, wow, like I would definitely want to do this summer. So I kind of committed to figuring out how I could go this summer. And then we ran into each other in this sliding doors moment in Vegas at a taco shop. So random. And she's like, oh, like we knew each other from Instagram. And she's like, is that you, Anna? And I was like, yeah, like, is that you, Matilda? It's like, we were just there at a taco shop in Vegas. And we planned to climb together because we were both kind of headed in different directions. And then we we're going to come back. And we're like, okay, on the way back, like, let's do a gym session or something. And we climbed together maybe 30 minutes. And then by the end of that session, we were planning Madagascar together. So she seemed like the perfect partner.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Although the Instagram thing is definitely part of the zeitgeist of, I think the first time I saw you, I think I said it in the last interview, is that you were standing across the room in the Lander bar, and I was like, oh yeah, there she is, because I'd seen you on Instagram. So, and you're somewhat recognizable in that sense, but yeah, that's totally wild. Like you guys just on the way in, on the way out, stopped and said, hey, I know you, or she did anyway.
Yeah. I was just like I think she just approached the table and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Matilda. Like I've been following you for years. Like it's so creepy, like so weird. I don't know how to like have those like parasocial relationships with people, especially in a facet of climbing that is a bit more limited. Like women who do big wall adventures at this level, there's a collection of us, and I try to follow anyone who I see is doing these like badass big walls in hopes that we can link up in the future and have a cool adventure. So she's just one of those people that I've always looked up to and like, wow, that would be amazing to meet her and to climb with her. And then I guess to go to Madagascar with her.
So I think Madagascar is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people. There's obviously the animated movies that, like misinform us, and then there's there's the lemurs. We all know about the lemurs.
I've been posting all about the lemurs.
Yeah, the lemurs are pretty badass. And but like, what was it like to drop into this place, and had you been to a place like this before in terms of like the difference in services and things like that we are used to in the West?
It was a big culture shock. Madagascar is, I think, like the 5th or 6th poorest country in the world. So driving through a lot of these kind of dilapidated villages and honestly just a lot of places without infrastructure, you could tell it's just they don't have access to all the same kind of things we do here in the Western world. And it was like pretty shocking and definitely not lost on me that I was traveling to a country that doesn't have access to a lot of healthcare or just like general safety to go and then do a dangerous expedition, to seek that kind of struggle and instability when all around me was just people living their normal lives and they don't get to choose that, and it just felt Yeah, pretty intense. A lot of reflection there, and also a really good experience. I think it's so important to be aware of these things and to see them firsthand. I think it's good for you. I think it's a good conversation to have and be like, why am I choosing, to be so scared and have these intense adventures? Like, how privileged am I to be able to do that? And kind of puts things into perspective. So I think, yeah, very shocking, very shocking. I think if you were to see some of the footage from the towns we went by, like you'd see, like 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds doing hard labor with concrete, breaking stones, not even like machines, right? It was intense. It was a really intense experience for me.
Is there like any sort of recognition or even infrastructure that's built up around these climbers showing up?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like the most popular place to go, but I think it sees climbers every season, several groups of climbers every season, especially European climbers.
Yeah, especially.
So what's going on out there as far as climbers showing up? It's not like a completely, an alien popping out of a spaceship or anything like that.
No, they are used to tourism as well, because there's a lot of like tourist companies that go for hikers or just for people who want to see Madagascar. So they do have a setup. We stayed at a place called Camp Kata, and it was really nice. I would call it glamping, like a nice tent with a bed in it, and that's where I stayed. And there's a restaurant, and that's kind of that's your only access to food. So every night was a restaurant meal, and it was pretty delicious. It was very split from the rest of Madagascar. Like, it did feel like we were kind of in a bubble, but you had access to fresh, running water, showers, a pool, even like it's like a natural pool, but it was really comfortable. I mean, at least for an expedition, it was like really comfortable. And then we'd like go have these like big adventures and come back and just be kind of with a bunch of tourists. Not so many climbers, a few groups. Sure. I think there aren't as many climbers going there now. And maybe after the pandemic, something changed, but I think it's starting to raise in popularity again. And there's 2 different camps. So one's closer to the Mora Mora, like the other bigger cliff. And then this one was closer to Karamboni, which is where we were climbing and where Tough Enough is, like the green wall that I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah. So talk about the logistics of the climbing. Then you're based in this camp. That's pretty nice. But I mean, what do you walk into the wall? Are you driving to the wall? Are you getting taken to the wall and then spending nights? Break it down.
Yeah. So for this one, it was actually a pretty quick hike. I would say under an hour, or definitely by the end, we were going under an hour. It was grown over, so we got lost the first day. Classic adventuring as well. So we hired someone to help us find the path and like with a machete and all the tools to build the path. So that was kind of step 1. But once we had it, it was pretty quick. And because it was so close to the camp, to like base camp, we would just kind of hike out, do some climbing, and we had our fixed lines so we could project and have media content. So we would like go there, either jug up or climb whatever pitches we were trying and then come down and hike. And we didn't stay on the wall until the push. So logistically, it was actually pretty chill, except for the fact that there were these huge runouts and it was really heady, and getting the ropes up was definitely not chill. It's kind of the nature of Madagascar, I think, to be more old school and to have bigger run out, like no stick clip could get you there. We actually it was just a lot of work. That was harder than the approach itself, was just getting the ropes up and kind of figuring out the climbs.
What did the team look like? It's always like easy to forget that there's other people hanging out in the background when it comes to like professional climbers like you guys.
There's always a team.
I mean, it's designed that way, right? It's designed to like nobody's here but us. Just us 2 women intrepidly alone on this wall or whatever.
It was pretty low key. We had Matilda's husband, William, down at base camp with the drone. So that was kind of our whole team. It was pretty chill. And he would just fly the drone and take videos. And we got a ton of really cool hero shots and photos. It was like kind of surreal because we would just walkie-talkie in like, all right, let's get that drone up. We're going to climb now, So that was the team. But there was like broader community support. Like I'm sure you saw Sasha and Mango were also there, and we're all friends, so we would hang out with them. And then Jan Novak was taking, and then there were other media teams and other like it was all professional climbers. That was the other thing. It wasn't like, it's not like a place you go, I guess, to like day crag. It was just professional climbers or like life climbers who were there trying, you know, a hard multi-pitch. That was it. Just a few teams.
That's interesting.
Hardcore. Yeah, it was pretty hardcore. I was like,
did you guys all put your banners out in your various parts of the camp? Like, here's my rad banner. There's the Red Bull guys with their helicopter, and then
yeah, right. I was like, this is insane. Like everywhere you look, there's just like a famous climber. Like I'm like, oh wow, okay. And we're all just having dinner together. That's not necessarily true. I'm sure there were like some people just passing through who like climbed a little bit, but like it just felt like the people who were staying for weeks on end to do an objective. It was like anyone who could afford that opportunity, I suppose,
right,
is the best way to put it. Yeah.
Well, don't you think it's kind of fascinating sometimes, and maybe this like feels, you know, you can probably like get a little annoyed by it all, but sometimes there's these things and where everybody's like on their own program, but there seems to be this kind of like it's in the zeitgeist, or it's where people independently, but maybe there's some influence in other media that they do kind of like Madagascar becomes hot, or this wall becomes kind of cool for a minute. I mean, I was surprised, you know, that you and your team and Sasha's team was there at the same time, you know.
Well, we also kind of like, we were friends, so
right.
We were in Mexico together, and I actually was talking to Sasha like, oh, I'm gonna go to Madagascar this summer, and she was like, I'm gonna go to Madagascar this summer. She was like, I was thinking about it. She's like, you're definitely going, and I'm like, definitely. And then we kind of planned to be there at the same like general time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I mean. Like,
but, yeah, I guess
about that too. Like, I don't know. I mean, it can happen just even in a local way. I always joke that like, you know, there's just days in any crag where it's like, everybody's like, I'm going to go to this. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about going there, too. And then, like, half of the people climbing there are at that cliff that day. Like,
yeah. And
it's almost like a global version of that sometimes.
Yeah. I wonder what was happening, like, half a year ago to have us all.
It could also just be a stupid coincidence. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just something I've observed. But that's an interesting thing. So, like, you keep hinting at the runouts. You keep talking about maybe the grades being a little bit eyebrow raising. Although, you know, just for the North American audience, 8B is 13D. So it's not like we're talking about some, you know, 510 plus here that you found out was actually 511. So it's like, you know, you're up in especially for expedition climbing. We toss around, you know, whatever 15A now or whatever in the sport climbing world, but for expedition climbing, you know, 13 plus, 14 minus is really hard and really advanced for a multi-day endeavor on a big route. So it's not like 8B is something to just scoff at either way, you know.
Yeah, it takes a bit more to get there, doesn't it? Like you have to climb a bunch of pitches to reach this. You're dealing with a lot of extraneous factors that you don't get sport climbing, and it's different. Like 8B feels different when you're hundreds of meters in the air and you're, you know, 3 days just exhausted, like 3 days sleeping on the wall, either in a portaledge, on the ledge, like bivvying, whatever it is. You're not getting your sleep, and you're probably, you know, you're eating dry freeze food for a few days, and you're just, you know, like you're not, it's not the same as just rolling up.
I think that like the moment you land in the country, in a lot of ways, even though it sounds like your base camp was somewhat nice, you know, but you're still on diminishing returns to a certain, there's a point in the trip where, you know, the added of not sleeping in your normal situation, whether it's a nice bed or not, and just it's like diminishing returns, and you're kind of fighting exhaustion. You know, from the get-go to the end. And you got to somewhere in there late in the game, you know, late in that like slightly more tired every day thing, you've got to perform at your best. It's a big challenge, you know, and that's why I think we admire those people who not only do it, but do it on the reg, you know? And so it's like, I just want to like kind of clarify that for folks, because tossing grades around is one thing, but the extraneous stuff on these expeditions is a whole nother game. But go back to this, to the actual climbing, what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Dirk Ulrich and Jorg Andreas who put up the climb. I spaced on mentioning their names earlier, but they had like this amazing vision for the climb. I was like so impressed.
I wanted to clarify that, so thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
It was just a beautiful vision. You know, I don't know if you've for those who haven't seen Karamboni, this cliff, it's the Tough Enough cliff. It's like this sheer vertical slabby granite cliff that just feels like it's featureless, but there is like a kind of protruding rock feature on it that tilts like maybe 2 degrees overhang or something, and it's just this standalone rock that's kind of leaned away from the Karamboni wall, and the climb actually goes up that rock, and then it like bridges over back to the Tough Enough wall, and then it finishes the second half on that wall, and it follows this like arête. So that's the climb. So it starts with 5C, and then 8A, 8A plus, 8A, 7C plus, 8B, 7B, 7A, 8A plus, and then like 5s to the top. Yeah. So that was our breakdown. But we ended up having such an adventure on it because the first 8A plus, we ended up breaking so many key holds that I guess it's probably harder now. And it's hard to imagine it's not harder, I guess, having broken like maybe it was like on these friable crimps, and I was leading that pitch and I fell because like a hold broke and I was like, oh darn, and then Matilda gave it a go and then another hold broke and then I gave it another hold broke, and we just kept taking turns until the climb was a bit just okay, none of these holds are going to stay on, so we had to kind of weave and find a new path a bit. So that added a bit of difficulty to the push that happened during the push. That was like an exciting adventure. And then getting up to the 8B, the proposed crux pitch, we just realized really quickly it wasn't really 8B, or it didn't really feel that way. And oftentimes with like these old school crags and like adventures, grades kind of can feel off, and we felt like all of the grades felt hard, and maybe that's because we're not used to the rock or the style or something, but we were just like, okay, like for me, about like every grade felt like a grade harder. So in my head I was like, okay, these are hard, these are run out, like this feels full on. But the 8B pitch we were really confused by because neither of us could figure it out. We were like, oh, maybe it goes this way. Like we kind of had a concept, but we didn't really understand how to do it. And so we actually went back to base camp and texted, do you know Arnaud Petit?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done obviously a ton of
I haven't met him,
but
once or twice.
Okay. Also, he also established in Madagascar. He's, been there quite a bit. So we asked him if he knew anything about this climb, we're like, what's happening here? Like, this is confusing to us. And it was really cool, actually. I was really like fangirling here because he then messaged Adam Andra, who had attempted Air Madagascar as a warm-up before Tough Enough. And we got, right? Yeah. So he attempted our climb before.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Yeah. So we're like, perfect. Adam's gonna have the answers for us. So Adam, obviously that famous trip like went on to basically on-site most of Tough Enough, which is this 10 pitch, like stacked 14, just like 14 after 14 after 14 on the climb, and he just did it, right? But this one, he said, yeah, like I got to this pitch and I couldn't find the solution. Like, good luck.
Uh-oh.
We were like,
you're like, fuck. What?
We're like, it's an 01 at least. Like, what? Do you know the Andra like rating scale? I was like, we are dealing with 01 plus. Like this, we do not have a confirmed O grade on this climb. Like, I'm like, we're fucked. Like, we're totally fucked. Like, so it's not saying that he couldn't have done it. I'm sure like he probably, who knows what the situation was. I know the trip was hot. Like, he was probably like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to go try Tough Enough. Like,
I'm warmed up.
I'm warm. Yeah. Like, this isn't worth trying. Like, it's like hard. It's like sharp. You know how, like, I'm not trying to say he can't do it, but he didn't do it. And so we were like, great. So I think we're talking something must have broken, right? Like something happened because that's not 8B. So we ended up just going to a nearby climb that's like on the same arete of our line. Actually, one of the first climbs put up in Madagascar, Rain Bodo. And we did the arete 7B on instead, like just the workaround. So, it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But we found we wanted to free it. We wanted to free it to the top. And we're like, all right, let's just traverse and arete. So... yeah, that's the lowdown there.
And that brought you around back onto the line easily enough?
Both of them actually shared the same anchor. So it just brought us to the same anchor. And then we just continued our climb up. Yeah. Right. That was I was like, oh my God, Adam's texting us? This is awesome. Like, this is so cool. I'm like so excited.
Yeah, it's funny because I would actually probably freak out more about Arnaud because... he's a little bit of a white whale. I've tried to get him to do the Enormocast. He doesn't think his English is good enough, which I find absurd. So maybe he's just using that as an excuse, but maybe he'll come back around.
Speaking another language, but tell him next time. Be like, you've summited all of these mountains. You've done all these adventures. Like you've overcome so much fear. Like you can do the second language thing.
No, I don't know. He like I said, it's probably just he's like I don't know about that guy. I'm not going on his stupid show, but yeah, I mean, because he's like, if you go some remote multi-pitch climbing area, there's going to be a Arnaud route, and it's probably going to be the classic. It's like the guy is so prolific and just never said no to going to some remote place and bolting something. So it's awesome.
Which is also sidebars, so much work. Like having now bolted climbs and like done FAs, I'm just like, oh my gosh, imagine going to a remote place and bolting a multi-pitch or a big wall. That's just so much effort. That's so much work. No wonder they didn't put in a lot of bolts. They're like, geez, like we have like hundreds of meters to cover,
Your expedition, it has its ups and downs, goods and bad. And like, what are you doing mentally with the setbacks? I mean, it's funny now because Adam Ondra, the whole Adam Ondra story and everything else. And you found a way around it to satisfy what you guys were trying to do. But like, are you pissed? Do you like say, what a waste of time this was, and are we screwed, and should we just go home? And are you laying on your back in the pool, like,
just like throwing a tantrum, like,
or whatever.
This is what I wanted.
Right. I mean, but honestly, like, expeditions always have ups and downs. What's your stoicism level about dealing with stuff on these trips?
I am not good at it, Chris. I am so not good at it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I want to mention this. I was looking through your videos and stuff, and the Shaman Loco video. There's on the YouTube. There's a breakdown of like scenes. They have that, and it's one of the scenes is simply called Anna Sad. So if you skip to like 640. It just says you'll be where Anna's sad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just know. It was just like a few minutes ago. I was like cracking up. Yeah, I think you have this scene. Yeah, there's some scenes about you with the onions or some shit.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm always.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Skip to 640. You'll see Anna sad.
Also, I want to correct you.
Anna.
Pronunciation. Yeah, it's hard.
Sorry.
It's just no. It's fine. I feel like I have to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about your name later too. So
that's fine. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just I feel like I just am bad at correcting it because it's so awkward, and so like half of the time I'm Anna, half the time I'm Anna, and I'm like, I should probably like make an effort here to put it right.
Cool, Anna. Yeah, I actually, while I was saying it, I was tripping over it, but I couldn't stop.
No, that's okay.
It's like I knew. I was like, uh-oh.
Like, oh, something feels wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I try to keep those in. I think it's just part of the human experience, and like if we're not doing that, like why are we pursuing these bigger goals? Like if we're not seeking some kind of, I don't know, for me at least, like a bigger understanding of life and emotion and selfhood, it's part of the experience. So yeah, but I was crashing out. I was like so cooked on this one. Like it was so hard, and by the time I reached the 8B, which is I guess the 6th pitch, I had already like dealt with so much of that like tantruming, right? I'd already cried multiple times on the trip. I was like, this is all too hard, because leading up to that 8B, the first hard pitches, it's like 13B, 13C, 13B, 13A, then the 13D. And all of them, like I had mentioned earlier, to me, and maybe this is just because I wasn't in the best shape I could have been, I don't know, but it all felt a grade harder. So let's break that down. It felt like 13C, 13D, 13C, 13B, then like 14A. Like this is kind of how like my mind was like reading these climbs, and I was like, this is hard. Like this is hard, and it's scary. So throughout, like while we were like, you know, getting the like going up slowly and just like trying to make our way up, I kind of had these moments of total, I guess sadness is the right word. Like Anna sad. Anna was sad, and I just felt like, wow, I just can't do this climb. You know, we have about one working day on each hard pitch. That's it. And then the push. So it's like, okay, I got to try each climb maybe 1 or 2 times, and then I have to send it in a row, you know, like, so I had kind of worked through this like range of emotions to get to a place where I was just like maybe accepting of the challenge of the experience and realizing that this trip I'm not going to walk away with a send. So whatever I do, I just hope I try hard, and like I had to like, I guess, reframe success already. So when we got to the AB and it was impossible, I was like, all right. And then Adam was like, yeah, I didn't find a solution. I'm like, okay, like here's another thing. Like it didn't really faze me because I'd already kind of gone through the whole range of like, I'm not gonna have a send this trip, you know? So that's okay. And there's so much more you can get out of a climb than just sending, you know? So that was how I dealt with that specific moment very well. I think Matilda dealt with it a little worse because, or not worse, gosh, not like throwing her under the bus, but she was like, she's clearly at a level where she was like, good. She's like, yeah, 1 try, I can send that next go. Like she's chilling. So I think she got to that and it was like a full stop, and she was like, there must be another way. Like we have to find another, like we have to like figure this out. And I think she had her, you know, she was kind of feeling like, wow, this is not working. Like, oh no. And to me, I was like, all right, like, I'm like, I think what I'll do is I'll just go to the arete and climb the easier climb. And to me, it actually was a relief because it was just one less difficult pitch that I had to do in the push. And I knew it was really going to be hard. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually thankful for another 7B instead of an 8B. So in a way for me, I think it helped my experience because it kind of brought the level down just a little, you know? And then we ended up both just doing the arete pitch. So that's how the story goes. But I do think it's I mean, it's definitely climbable. It's just, we didn't have the time to do it. It felt like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to like throw wild grades out not having done it or anything, but you know, clearly harder.
Yeah. I mean, the grades on these routes they're not confirmed. I mean,
no.
it's, you know,
yeah.
Has it been repeated free? Besides the first guys?
No, we're
if Adam didn't do it.
No, we're the next repeat.
Yeah.
With the caveat, obviously, that we did the arete instead. So
yeah, but I mean, it's just like those, like the grade game on those routes. You know, those guys probably did the same thing where they rehearsed it a bunch and they finally freed it in the end. And who knows the day they felt good, and you know, it's just all those sorts of things.
Yeah,
like nothing ever. Yeah.
There have been attempted repeats, though, like aside from Adam, some strong climbers have come through. So we actually were also told that there was an impossible move on the first 8A. And we were quite pleased to both have done the move because we found the move right. We were like, this is the impossible move. And so we took some time on that first day to really work it out. And it was just, I could see why it burned off some, you know, some hard climbers because this move was just so strange. It's like a strange like body slab move that both of us had to do differently. Actually, we definitely had a little bit more information as we were choosing this climb because, you know, it was a last minute pivot and we were hearing like, okay, there's an impossible move, there's an impossible pitch, like what are we getting into, you know? Yeah,
but I mean, it's I don't know, like you guys are professional climbers, you know, you've got this media, the perfect story is you know, you work hard and you almost do it and then you finally do it. Like that's like every kind of climbing movie, and that's like getting out of your grasp. But is there, you know, in your mind, do you think that the pressure is greater because you know, you guys are creating this media, you're professional climbers? Like, I don't know a single professional climber who doesn't in the darkest of times question why they get this role and some other climbers don't, like the whole imposter thing. I mean, I maybe Andre doesn't, although maybe he did that day on that 8B.
Yeah.
But like most professional climbers, like when they start to run into roadblocks and fail, they're like, I don't deserve this. I got to get out of here. Like, I wish I was just a normal person that could like, scuttle away into the shadows. Like, how do you deal with that? Or how do you look at that?
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's really hard, especially because like I'm coming from being like an influencer. Like, I don't know. I'm not like, I didn't start as a professional climber. I mean, I know no one like is born as a professional climber, but that's not like, that wasn't my starting persona. That wasn't like how I entered the climbing world publicly, if that makes sense. So
it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I totally have questions about that actually. So
yeah. So like the pressure to send is this like, I don't know, it's complex because at the one hand, it's like, well, no one expects me to send. Like, I'm just out here climbing for fun and joyfully, right? And I make content. And then on the other end, it's like, but actually, I feel this immense pressure because I want to send. I almost want to like prove or validate that I belong in this world, and I want to be a professional climber, and I want to be pushing grades. And these are all things that I like have dreamed about. And ever since like it's like every time I get closer to that dream, I just like put even more pressure because I feel like I have to combat this other image of myself. And so it's like tricky because it's definitely, it feels like a lot. And when I was there, I even messaged, my athlete manager, like, hey, like, I don't think it's very likely that I come away with a send here. Like, are we screwed on the media? Like, I don't know if I can make a movie from this. Like, I feel so much pressure to perform, and this is so hard for me. And I'm feeling like really overwhelmed. And I think that detracts from the experience. So I had to
They sent back a 2-word answer. You're fired.
Yeah, they sent back like the dad, like thumb emoji, like thumbs up.
Is that it?
Like, so we read the message, things like scene. Scene.
Yeah, you just get the scene.
Well, I think this is where it's cool to have this other like about you. Like for me, it's the content, it's the YouTube. It's like they message back just like so understanding, like, yeah, that sounds hard. Like don't just go out there, do your thing. Like we'll have a meeting after, we'll figure it out. Like just go try your best, have fun, like enjoy the adventure. And I think that like taking off the professionalism from it was actually amazing because I was able to focus a little bit more on my experience and be like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm just going to like try fucking hard, right? I'm just going to try the hardest I've ever tried ever. I'm excited for the challenge. And it really switched my mentality right before the push. I was like, like, oh my God, I can't wait to like try so hard and to just see what happens. Like maybe I don't send any pitches because that was the reality I was going into the push with. Like it had been 2 weeks, and I think at least on the 8s, like the 13s, we're talking like I had fallen like 5 or 6 times on my like latest. Like I had 1 attempt or 2 attempts, and on the latest attempt on each of them, I had been falling like upwards 10 times. So I'm like, right. Like when's the last time you were like climbing on a sport climb and you fall 10 times and then you come down and you're like, next goes the send. Like I was like, fuck. So this was my reality, and I just had to like, I don't know.
The next go was the send.
What?
The next go was the send.
And the next go,
and you sent some of those pitches, yeah.
I ended up sending all of them except for pitch 3, which is the one I told you broke. Like we took like it just. I think it became in my head, at least. Maybe this is another coping mechanism, but like I do think it became like 13D, 14, like it wasn't 13C anymore, and I felt like okay, that makes sense that I wasn't able to send that second go. Like for my I'm like, okay, like you can walk away from this feeling like
it's okay not to send 13C second go too, Anna.
No, that one you have to.
I'm just saying.
those ones better go fast. You know?
But I mean, look, I suppose I can, if it's okay, I can give you my perspective. But I am kind of widely known for sort of not being that interested in influencers in climbing. Like,
I remember this.
If their stuff comes across my screen, whatever, and I'll chuckle or whatever. But for me, it's like old Alex Honnold, like, professional climbers should send the NAR. in some ways I want that, but I don't, and I think I'm not alone in this, but I don't necessarily want you to always be sending, but what you, and I've watched you evolve. And I think when we first talked in the very first interview, you had just sent the Once Upon a Time in the Southwest, which is a name I hate because it's too long. Yeah. But anyhow, and it was like you had stepped in. You were making these steps into this type of climbing, and I was like, literally, I was like, I'm now interested, and this is not like me saying that, my interest in you is any necessary thing in your life. But for me, I'm like, okay. And the reason I'm like into it is because now she's going to be in this challenge realm where things like what happened to you in Madagascar start happening. And for me, that's the story. And that's what I want out of climbing myself. And I want my heroes, if you want to go into that, I want to believe they're up there being forced to dig as deep as they can. And I love it when they succeed and you succeed. But also, if you don't, sometimes it's necessary, because otherwise then you're just floating along again, And so that's what I want out of climbing. And I think the story you're telling here has nothing to do with whether you sent, and it's still thrilling and it's still exciting, because I want to empathize with you being up against this roadblock and being worried and being, like you said, all those emotions. Because without that, I'm like, well, let's just go play golf. Let's not go climbing, because it's sucky otherwise, No, so anyway, that's kind of like when you're starting to, I love that you were like, oh my God, is this media going to be crap? Is my job in jeopardy?
Totally.
Et cetera. Like, I mean, I wanted to be there to be like, no, it's not, Anna, like, you're good. Yeah. Just like the rab people were. They're like, you're good. Don't sweat it. But that's what I want. I mean, I think it's just super cool. That's why climbing is super cool.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I do feel like that was what made this trip so epic, was like, I wrote this like in an Instagram caption, even though it was the cheesiest thing ever, but I was like, this is the hardest I've ever tried on a climbing trip. Like, this is the hardest I've ever tried in my life. Like, I don't know. I know that sounds cliche, but it truly was. Like, I just hadn't ever been forced to kind of take on such a huge challenge in such a small amount of time and then perform like that. It just all felt so overwhelming and then so exciting. And it just felt like this is really what climbing's about. And this is why you choose the projects that are too hard, because maybe they aren't. I don't know. It's like almost like this disbelief or suspended disbelief of like, maybe I can do this, maybe this can work. And like on the last 13C, I'd tried one time before, and it was day 3, and we had sent all the way up, right? So we're talking like 2 13s a day or so, plus all of the 7 arete pitches that are quite run out. And so we're at the top of the climb before the 5s to finish. I think that was pitch 9 then. Yeah, this beautiful 13C. Gorgeous, like my like the slab into this really cool boulder move, just beautiful, striking. And I was like, my fingers were bleeding. I couldn't believe, like, every day I just shocked myself. I was like, oh my God, I sent it. Oh my God, I sent it. Like, I'm just like totally like destroyed mentally and physically. And I was like, this is like the last one to do. This is it. And then we're going to summit. And if I don't do this, we're not going to summit, or we are, and I'm just not going to have done it. And it's going to feel, I don't know. I felt like I didn't want that experience. I wanted to send it and then summit. That's the experience I wanted. And I remember just like Matilda and I laughing so hard about it, because I literally screamed, like, power screaming where you're like, yeah, and you're badass, you're screaming and you're like getting it done. That's not how my power screaming was on this one. It was like, it's like you're being chased by a murderer or something. And you're like, ah! Like you're screaming with like sheer just like terror. But I wasn't scared, or it was just like, I just like needed this like.
It's just primal. It was like super primal.
It was not the cool Chris Sharma Adamant. It was just a pure scream to hold the moves. And after I'd like somehow again, just totally surprising myself, climbed through this boulder, like this really hard, punchy boulder in the middle. I found myself just like on the slab, like on tiny little crystals. And I was like, like just totally hyperventilating because I just like screamed through it and I didn't have enough air. And Matilda's like, you need to breathe, like breathe. And I'm just like it was, that was like the hardest I've ever tried. The end of the third day of 10 hours of climbing every day, like just craziness. And then it's just like I was there climbing 13C again. And I was like, I can't believe I just did that. And I don't know, I feel like that moment was just like climbing for me. That was just like,
I mean, look,
yeah,
my heart rate's up like right now listening to you tell this story, because it's like, that's it. You open this door, you fucking open this door into this other place where you'd never been before mentally or physically. And you like step through. And that's the essence of it, like for me. And that's, again, going back to whether I like this type of climbing or I'm like, I don't care what the grade was. You step through this door to this place, and that place is going to be with you now forever and ever. And that door is going to be easier to open. And although there's going to be another one past it.
There's always deeper.
There's always another door, but that's like the essence of it. And I just love that story. And if you'd have opened the door and then you'd fallen off, you still would have gone through it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you could have switched your brain at the top and been like, well, that was all good. And we came here for the, for the friends I met along the way.
Yeah.
But we also know that like you set a goal and you wanted to meet that goal. And if you don't, there's some disappointment, and it's like, okay, and to have disappointment, but it drove you to go to this place that you'd never been before. I just love it.
Yeah, it matters. It mattered. I wanted to send it.
It mattered.
Or at least I could convince myself in the moment that sending was, it's so strange. So strange. Like sending is everything, right? Like you're like right now in this moment, as I'm like setting off on this climb, sending is everything. Like I need to want it so badly. But then to be able to like, if you don't just switch it out, be like, well, that's okay. But like, you can't have that mentality. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you're just playing with your mind. Right. It's like mind tricks. You're just like, sending is everything. Like, just hold on. Like, just go. Like, it doesn't matter at all costs. My fingers were bleeding and they like were slipping and I was trying to like slap the blood. You know what I mean? And it's just like, at all costs, I'm going to claw my way to the top of this. And then if I fell, like, I think I would have had the mental, like, this is the practice you have of just like, you know what, I'm bummed, but like I gave it everything, so I have to be proud of that. And you just have to switch. It's like sending isn't everything, and then that's the new mentality. Like you just have to be so flexible with it and dig deep, right? And then be able to also experience it and have fun and be like, that was cool though. I'm in Madagascar. Like what the heck, right?
Yeah, you can't let go of it too soon though, right?
No, you have to want it. You have to be hungry. You have to be hungry for it, for sure.
And that, I mean, it's, you know, you're a professional climber for a reason. I think you inspire people for a reason. You know, it's like people kind of get to the top of their game, not by random chance, but by this, like, you've always had this, you know, when you were an influencer, it was floating around back there, this like desire to be better and to push yourself. So it's natural that you've arrived here, I think, personally. And again, like, you know, I find it a very interesting evolution also, and I think you do as well. Just this evolution of your place in climbing then and now and straddling the two. Because I wanted to ask you about that, is like watching you evolve. And actually I thought it was a lot longer that you were on the show. It was in 2022.
It's not been that long.
So a lot of this has happened to you very quickly, in my opinion. But, you know, at some point, I saw there was a post about like, well, I haven't been posting as much, or I've taken a step back, or, you know, and that's always an interesting, I find that like as this marker that people have in their media influence, where I'm like, okay, I'm like, here it is. She's like, what is all this mean, and what is my responsibility to the public and things like that, is what those, even if you're not thinking that, what those markers kind of mean to me. And I love that you've pivoted a little bit to these bigger stories and things like that. And I don't know if that's been a conscious thing or if you've noticed that evolution yourself. Maybe you can comment on that.
I think I reached this point where I realized that I wanted to pursue climbing even more. Like, I mean, as you said, I guess that's crazy. It's been 3 years. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That was
2020, February 2022.
22, 4 years. Or no, wait. Yeah.
Whatever, however it was.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Because that was when I started trad climbing. And then I started sport climbing just the year before. So like everything, and that's like every year I take on more. Like I was like, okay, now I want to learn like multi-pitch climbing. Okay, now I want to learn big wall climbing. And every year I feel like I'm just trying to add like some more skill set to my climbing repertoire so I can do more and more. So it does feel like it's been like, I don't know, like a decade, but it really hasn't.
No, it has not at all. and that's interesting. It feels like that to you too, because I just honestly, right before we came on this, I was like, oh, I should look up when that was. And in my head, it was 6 years ago, like at least, but it was only that many. So,
wow, that surprises me as well.
But in that time, it's interesting too, because I think that like, and, you know, I'm only really hearing the story of Madagascar here for the first time, other than, you know, I saw that post that you were talking about trying hard, and that got me excited. And
cool.
And the other little things that you popped out that, you know, so there'll be more coming, I'm sure, with the film and everything. But it also, I love like that I think I sent you a message like you and that wall were made for each other.
Yeah, you did. Like yeah.
Truly. And it's like, because I saw this, I know what the climbing there's like. I've never been there, but I followed it. A very good friend of mine actually had a very bad accident there some time ago.
Oh, that's so serious too.
Yeah. But I mean, he's fine, but it was a long road to recovery with bone infection and all the things that come with a accident in a remote place like that. But so I know what it's like, and I know that it's run out because, again, you're talking about these expedition style bolted routes that you're absolutely right. Like, we don't have time, we don't have the equipment, we can't put bolts in everywhere. Let's just like put a bit as just absolute where we need them.
Yeah.
I know the rock's friable too.
Well,
and so, but then I was looking at your resume, and this is like this culmination, this little 3-week thing, you know, I say little because it was short.
Yeah.
Is such a culmination of what you've been doing for 3 years with the scary climbing, you know, this list of like walk of life and quarrymen and these things. That was your walk into these Prinzip Hoffnung, however you say that.
Yeah. Yes.
Here you are, like you're coming towards this thing, and now this thing's bolted, but it probably felt very similar to those routes in terms of having to set forth. No chalk, no real. I mean, that wall looks. I mean, finding the path is there's no crack, there's no dihedral, there's just a line of holds that end up at that bolt way up there somehow, kind of thing. So I don't know if you felt that way, but even if you didn't quite make your goal, it's like you were prepared as best you possibly could for, I think, this little expedition that you guys did.
Yeah, it does feel like everything's adding up. And I mean, I still deal with fear a lot. Like that hasn't really changed. I guess the fact that I have fear. Yeah, I think that's just part of me. I think I'm just a fearful climber. But I obviously know how to cope with it, deal with it, work through it, and succeed despite it. So I think that's important too. Like it's interesting. I thought maybe after years I'd just be this bold, brave climber, but that's just so not the case. I just have the mental tools to be courageous, I guess, to like try despite being afraid. And I do think it's like all kind of leading to these like bigger adventures. And I've been slowly kind of getting like bigger and bigger walls that also offer a bit more of a mental challenge as well. I think I'm drawn to it, whether I like it or not. Because that's the thing too. I don't feel like I don't love being scared. I don't know if people like to be like in fear all of the time. Like, I don't think this is something normal, but I think I really like the challenge of being able to like overcome that, so to speak. And that just like offers so much more depth to a climbing experience for me. So I think inadvertently I choose these climbs like even last summer when I put up the inner piece, like the Tuolumne climb, it's like it ends on the Bakerierian, and it's just like it was easy climbing, super chill, back to trad, back to my roots, like very run out though. So it's like you're doing these 70-foot runouts, and it's on 5.9 though, so you're like fine. But I feel like even that was a stepping stone. It's like, okay, I'm up here trying easier climbs again, but on a multi-pitch scale instead of just single pitch. And then this was like, okay, now I'm going to do a hard climb with that. And yeah, it just feels like everything's kind of adding onto itself. And this is why I also wanted to step back a little bit from social media, even though it might not seem it now because I just have all of this like content from Madagascar. So I'm blasting social media, but
it's your job. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I like it. I'm psyched. But I think it requires so much more of a mental freedom. Like I need more space in my head to be able to climb these kinds of objectives. So stepping back from social media made a lot more sense, or at least from like working as much, because I'm like, no, this is now a full-time job. Like at first it was like, oh, it's just one pitch. Like I can kind of compartmentalize that, and then I can go home, and then I can work, and then I can like give you some content. And now I can't do that. I can't go home and chill. Like I'm on the wall all day. I come back and I have to totally de-stress, climb again. Like it's just a full experience. Like those three weeks, I just like could not work. I couldn't, my head couldn't do anything other than either climbing or doing absolutely nothing, or like playing my like playing some instruments and just letting things just kind of settle, right? Like I just didn't have the capacity for it.
Well, look, I think you deserve it. I mean, you deserve to.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you deserve to go on these trips and put all of your mental energy towards the goal, and yeah, I mean, not divide your time and divide your sort of brain space with it. But I mean, and to comment on the fear thing, like the completely natural fear that everyone should have of falling to their death, is
normal.
But I don't know. I just like think, because I know that's kind of been part of your story of like, I am always scared, but I managed to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's an indelible ingredient to who you are as a climber, in that this idea that you want it to go away or you want to suddenly become a fearless climber is, I think it's probably, you'll lose an element of what happened on that 13C. It's like, one of the elements of how you perform is to have that. You said you've been chased by a murderer. You were screaming like you were being chased by a murderer.
100%.
Like one of the ways in which you climb is that, and that's fine. Like if it's driving you to perform, and it's also allowing those epiphanies to happen, then I just interviewed Will Moss, who did the 1-day flash of the Freerider this spring.
Amazing.
And amazing. Yeah, totally amazing. And it's a wild story. And but at no point did he mention that, like, because he talked about the crux and how he was scared of failing, scared of falling because it's a flash. But the whole time he was talking about the rest of the climb, like he was just monkeying up it. I was like, man, I was really scared a lot on that route. Like, fear kind of bubbled. I mean, I have this attitude towards big walls that's really changed, but in the the olden times, like, you stepped up on El Cap and you were in it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I was just kind of like, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, what good did that fear do me? And I'm like, I think it actually helped me. It helped me, like, drive me along in this different way than like a kid like that who apparently just doesn't have any problem.
That's not
being up there.
Yeah, that's not the issue. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I'm not like, I don't ever lament. I mean, I do occasionally lament my fear. I think it holds me back at times, but other times it's just like that focus of attention can be very useful in a sense. Because I don't see you petrified by fear. It's more of a simmering thing that, again, I think it's an ingredient.
Well, I used to be. Like when I started sport climbing, and I know like now it sounds silly because it's like we've just realized it hasn't been that many years, but like I'm like I used to.
It doesn't matter. Like you said, you've lived a decade in 3 years. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I've been going for it. So I was petrified. I would just get so stuck on the wall, like just completely like couldn't move. So to go from that to finding like tactics that work, I do think there's a lot of value in it, and I think it comes with finding climbing later, or like this type of climbing later in life too. Like I'm not like someone who was a kid sport climbing. You know, I don't have that like fearlessness or that natural, like, oh, it's like, this is like walking, or like, you know, sport climbing's like drinking water. It's just part of the experience. I think I've had to like very much acutely get over every bit of it, you know, like just like discover how to like overcome this fear, this exposure, that situation. It just feels like it's never been natural for me.
Has it been an active pursuit, or has it been just a result of looking back at and saying, oh, look, I did take a little step there and a little step here? Or has it been an active pursuit where you've been very conscious about making these little steps?
Yeah, it's active for sure. I mean, like, looking back now, it is clearer to see the steps I've made. And sometimes I lose sight of that. Like most people, when you make progress and you're like, oh, I suck. And then someone's like, actually, 2 years ago, you know, like, and someone kind of brings
right.
you into perspective. So that's normal. That's happening. But it's also very active. Like, I definitely try to overcome my fear every trip I go on. I make an active effort to be like, okay, what do I need to be able to lead something? And usually I need to top rope. Usually I need to top rope whenever I get to a new place. Like, I've just landed in Squamish and I can't really climb. I'm not ready to climb yet, but I did do a little bit of top roping yesterday on easy climbs, like warm-ups, and I didn't even get to the top of some of them. And I was like, this is just what I need right now. I need to be able to just like do half of a route on top rope and then come down and get over my jet lag, you know, like I just need to move a little bit, come down, hang out outside. So I think that is a way to actively pursue it as well. It's just like, I'm not as hard on myself anymore for needing that level of comfort sometimes. And I think that's unexpected. Like, I feel like I don't really know other pros who are like, yeah, after a trip, I just need to like top rope 511 and maybe I won't send it. That doesn't seem like something that other people are dealing with. And maybe that's just my perception of it. But I used to be all like, I don't know, hard on myself, you know, and be like, that's not what pro climbers do. But now I'm like, you know what? That's what this pro climber does. So like, anyone who sees me fall on a 511 or just be like, you know what, that's good. Like, I'll come down now. Hopefully they like understand this is like part of a bigger process of like, I've just, you know, pushed myself so hard in Madagascar. I need to have a dip so then I can push myself even harder the next trip. So this is like kind of how I actively work on it, I guess. It's just like letting myself have the flow. So when it comes time to like trying hard, I can just give it my all and just go for it.
Yeah, I sort of wish sometimes that was more telegraphed, you know, because it does feel like Babsy just like goes from one heinous thing to the next heinous thing, like without any sort of trouble. But I'm certain there's some version of what you're talking about. I mean, she's flying now too, so that's her break from it as well. But yeah, the way it's presented to us is it's like, you know, they got on the plane off the wall, got on the plane and went to the next thing and sent again. And do you think that happens like I mean, maybe it has happened to you literally where like somebody's like, I saw her climbing and she was terrible, or like,
I hope. That's great.
I mean,
give them that
I don't
motivation.
I don't know if that happens, does it?
I'm sure.
Do people really like look at a professional climber and go like, oh my God, I saw them fall on something and post that somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Maybe not post it, but it for sure happens. Like,
okay.
I feel like I've overheard it happening and I'm like, oh, like, I'm so motivational. Like, imagine what they think they can do now that they've seen that they can outclimb me here. I'm like, I'm such a good role model.
Yeah. I'm just like you. I'm just like you peons down there. We're all the same. Let's just. Yeah.
Well, even on this, like the thing I was telling you, like, just coming down, like, halfway through an 11, I was, like, there were some people there. Come on, you got it. You can do it. You know, and I'm just like, yeah, like. This is okay. Like, don't let the ego kill. Like, you know, I was like, ego? No, it's fine. Like, this is totally fine. It's like getting cheered on.
Your prospects for sort of making a living at this have changed a little bit. You know, I think it was very much sort of the influencer model of a little bit of money here and there from all the different streams. Now you're a full-blown sponsored climber, whatever that means. I mean, it can mean hardly any money or sort of money, but whatever. I mean, what is that in your evolution now too? You want to stay at this, you want to be a professional climber, but I think a lot of professional climbers get to this point where they're like, well, am I at the top? Is this a sustainable way to make a living long term? Like, what are my actual prospects? Like, what are you looking at as far as, the next kind of era of being, again, more of this active expedition professional climber, and how that looks to you just as your lifestyle?
So yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I used to worry a lot about money and making it, and it was really stressful for the first many years. It's just like, oh, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. I mean, I called like Tom Randall on the phone so many times, even after like Once Upon a Time in Walk of Life, just like being like, I have to find a job or something else. Like, I have to find a career that isn't this, because this isn't working for me. It's not going to work. I'm not making any money. Like, I can't live like this. And he's just like, hold on a little more. He's like, you just keep climbing. Like, it will work. And, having like a mentor like that was really nice, because like people who believe that this path is going to work, even though you can't see it. And at that point, we had our interview already, and I was still just like, I have to quit. Like, I can't make professional climbing work. Like, it's just, there's no money here. So now entering a phase where I did hold on, and I just kept going and trying to make it work, and it's worked, and I can now live off of my climbing. It's fine. I'm not stressed. It's made me a lot more chill. I think I'm way less anxious on my day-to-day. I feel less pressure to do like every little opportunity. I can like take time for myself. I can step back from social media a little bit. Like, it's definitely made my life just so much nicer, because I'm not constantly stressed about a paycheck or about getting money from people. I can do things for free and feel good about that. And I don't know, it's just like I have like so much more time and space to give, and I love that. And I think the next steps right now are kind of maintaining this for at least another many years of, okay, like I've reached this point where I'm really happy, and I can just climb more, maybe try to like find that balance that I like, and stay here for a little bit. And I have a lot of confidence that it's just going to stay. Like I'm so much more confident, in my path. And I'm not so worried, because I feel like now I have so many life skills and a brand really to work with. So if I can't climb, or if, sponsors fall through or something happens, I do feel like I'm in a good position to do social media stuff, like, consulting, whether it's for climbers or not. I'm in a good position to start a business, there's other things I can pursue, and I feel confident that there's going to be a way. So that's different. It's nice. I'm not worried.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I think the analogies that talk about climbing as an art form can get a little tired, but the truth is that it's a pursuit that needs not just your physical dedication, but your mental dedication to it, especially, again, kind of some of the things that you're into. Mm-hmm. And so, it's like when someone who has a day job or whatever writes some killer novel, I'm like hyper impressed, because the idea that you can just like have this compartmentalized place that you can go to create art is like really impressive, which is why they create artist retreats and they create writing retreats, is because the day-to-day life and creating art don't go together. And again, calling climbing art, I can raise my eyebrows at that, but it has a similar feel of dedication. Having this space that you have now to dedicate your mind and body to it in a bigger way, I think can only result in good things. And it's, for everyone who raises their eyebrows at like, why would anyone pay someone to go climbing or whatever? That's it, is we're paying you to be your best, in a sense. And I say we, the people who buy stuff from Rab in your case or whatever, because we want you to be your best. And
that's so sweet.
It's just, it is. I mean, again, going back to this idea that I want my professional climbers, whoever they are, to be out there kicking ass, I do. I want them to be doing that, because I can't. And, they're like our champions in a sense of the old days.
So
I think it's, finding this place where you're free a little bit to just dedicate is, I think it's just the right place to be for you at this point in your career, because you are going to find your potential is beyond what you think it is.
Yeah, I hope. And I think the trend right now is working less and focusing on climbing more. And that's so exciting to me. Like, I just feel like there's so much to learn, especially after this trip. I'm like, yeah, like, holy shit. Like, I am not even like, I'm like seeing how much more there is. You know, that quote of like, the more you know you don't know. It's like every time I go on this trip, I'm like, my world has expanded a little more, and I'm like, wow. So that's where I am. Maybe there's so much more to learn, do, focus on. And it's cool to have the opportunity also, because you need the time for the bigger objectives. Like, I feel like I hear a lot, and I'm so impressed with the like weekend warriors who are sending these crazy double-digit boulders. And I'm just like, that is incredible. Oh my goodness. But there is like a limitation with working and big wall objectives, because like, okay, you need to be somewhere for an expedition for a month or 2 months. And that's a lot harder to balance with work. So I'm really grateful that I get the opportunity to do that. You know, that's like where I feel like it really comes in.
Obviously, Matilda was quite inspiring on your trip.
Yeah.
It sounds like. And
badass.
maybe she's operating like at your next level, so to speak.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah.
who else is out there? I mean, who's the next cold call?
Oh my
for
God.
you?
I mean, I would melt if Babsy wanted to climb with me, like, or just like hang out. She
listens to every single Enormocast.
Does she really?
No, I don't. Think
I was like, okay, hi, Babsy. Like, let me cold call you right now. No, I mean, just
I know Yanya does.
Does
so,
she?
No,
I'm going to believe everything you say. I'm just so cool. I'm like, I have this like optimism. I'm like, yeah, like for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so many, mostly women who are inspiring me at the moment. It's just par for the course. Like, I'm a woman. I like to be inspired by other women because I feel like it is in that range of like, oh, like I can see someone doing this who's, you know, like me. So Matilda was definitely one of those people. Yeah, Babsy. I'm just constantly impressed with all of her ascents. I've been like so psyched to watch Paige climb like a badass mother. Like, that's been amazing. Gosh, there's just so many. There's so many. It's hard to like choose. Also, you know, just being in Madagascar with Sasha and watching her climb like so fearlessly and quickly and efficiently, just getting it done. I was like, this is awesome. Maybe we'll link up and climb something together as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there.
So back to your kind of influencer days versus what you've become now as sort of a kind of walking the line between professional climber, influencer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this name, like Anna Hazlenutt, for the first time ever, I saw that actually Rab's website has your last name. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I'll have a word with them.
Tell me about that. Like it's like a pseudonym.
Yeah, or like a, what do they call
Nom
it?
de plume.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like the moniker. Yeah. So I started an Instagram when I went to university. Actually, my college roommate started it for me. Like, you should put climbing things on here. And I was like, oh, social media. Like, I didn't have any social media. I wasn't so interested in it. But I figured, okay, I'll do it, but I'll use this name that they called me in high school for track. Okay. I did track and cross country. People were like, come on, Hazelnutt, because it's close to my real name. So I just picked this fun name. And I didn't really think much of it. I mean, my friends all had random usernames. Like, mine was the closest to my name of my friend group. Everyone else was doing like these, you know, show references, like, you know, Pencilvester 024, whatever it was. It was just the age of the Wild West of Instagram when people weren't using it as a business card. So I just put that as my name, and it never occurred to me to change it, or that it would have, like, that I would be in this position having a lot of people following me and thinking it's my name, and I just never thought about it. And then it was too late to change it, I feel like. And I was like, cool, we'll ride with this. So now I have both. I don't know if you noticed, I changed it on my Instagram. I have the tag is Anna Hazlenutt, and then the name is Anna Hazlett. So now it's like,
I did notice that.
People were just so confused. So I figured, okay, but I don't want to, I like it. It's going to be my Instagram tag forever.
I know it's fine, but I was also kind of wondering, because it was so hard to find, And like I said, the reason I even brought this question up is because of that Rab site, and then also I did notice that it was on your. And I had kind of ever wondered if you were just kind of like, yeah, I'll keep this private, and it'll kind of, protect me from the docs or whatever over time, or if it just, it seems like it was just much more organic than that. You ended up Miss Hazelnutt versus.
I think it would be a bit naive to think it would protect me changing my, you know what I mean, to have Hazelnut there. I feel like people are going to find me regardless. I had a conversation with my sister about it, actually. She's like, you should put your real name on the news articles. And I was like, why? She was like, I don't know. Like, it's like it's you. Like, don't you want your, And I was like, well, I'm both now. But it did bring up the question of, oh yeah, like, I guess technically that is my name. Like, I'm split on both of them. And
Gotcha.
Even when writing on like Mountain Project, I like was putting up a new climb, and I put like FA on I'm like Hazelnut, and then in parentheses Hazlett. I was like, I don't know what to put here. Like even on things that are more official, I'll still sometimes opt for Hazelnut.
You're signing your contracts with Hazlett though, right?
Yeah, except for one. One I was like iffy on, and I was like, I'm gonna put Hazelnut here. I'm not.
Who are they buying? Which person are they buying?
Yeah.
I want to give them what they want.
Like technically, I could get out of this contract, right?
All right, folks. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Anna for getting that done from the backyard of some house in Squamish and that busy beaver Canadian next door, getting some sawing and banging done. And I'd also like to note that nobody, except for perhaps the ghost of Steve Jobs, seems to know how to turn off that alert noise on their Macs. We get it all the time at the run out, turns up here at this podcast. I don't use Macs, so I'm never able to help these people find a particular toggle to switch that off. Yeah, that's right. I'm a PC guy. I think it's better for audio. I just do. And nothing gets hipster Apple people's hackles up like telling them that you don't use Macs, except for maybe also telling them that I think Volkswagens are garbage. Anywho, if you want to find Anna online, it's very, very easy. That's why she has that unique nom de plume. She's got a great YouTube channel, Instagram dominance. I assume she has a TikTok and stuff. I don't fuck with that shit. So easy to find. Just Google her up, follow. She puts out fun content. And also, we're just going to watch her climbing potential explode in the next few years, I think. Okay, one last thing. If you don't feel like supporting our sponsors that make this show happen, you can go over to enormocast.com and smash that donate button and buy me a coffee or whatever you'd like to do. If you think this show has value and you'd love to see it keep going until I'm put into the fiery furnace and turned into ash, go over there and donate something. Little bit goes a long way. Okay, get out there, have some fun, be safe. It's hot here in Colorado right now. It's hot in the West. It's hot all over the United States. Makes you feel dumb when you're climbing, lazy, messes with your head. So splash some cold water on your face and don't forget to check your knots.
Mm.